Imagine if I go halfway through the lesson and the audio doesn't work, you could imagine that would be a problem. So I do appreciate the patience. In the meantime, feel free to say hello in the chat, or if you're watching the recording of this, say hello in the comments. Always love to hear from new and returning students. How's everybody doing today? We got Filthy Will here. We got TJ Washington. Cactus has been back after a long hiatus. Welcome back. And we got some different people here today than our usuals. Okay, it looks like everything's working well. So we will get on the lesson here in just a second. Okay. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get a drink so my voice stops popping. The second thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get the Facebook live stream started. It should take less than a minute, and then we're just going to get right on to it. So just give me less than a minute. Feel free to say hello in the meantime. Hello students, your piano teacher Tim here from Piano Lessons on the Web. If you're watching for the first time on Facebook, make sure you like our page. If you're watching over on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. You have all notifications turned on by hitting that bell, because we have new lessons coming out all the time and you don't want to miss a beat. All right, today I'm going to be teaching you about how to count, some tips on how to count difficult rhythms. I'm just going to do probably a formal intro here, and then we're going to get on with the lesson here. So here we go. All right. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to quickly mention that over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, I have over 20 courses designed to help you learn a lot more about piano and music. Whether you're a beginner, maybe you just found out about me and you're looking to get an iron grip on those beginner topics to build from, or if you have been following me for a while, or maybe you've been learning on your own for a while or with the teacher, and you're looking to take your existing skills to that next level, my courses will help you do just that. If you're a big fan of the YouTube channel, you like the lessons over here, you're going to love my courses, because not only do they include the same types of instructional videos you see here in the same style, but you also get access to accompanying notes, worksheets, assignments, real sheet music to play, and a lot of other things to make sure that you're not just learning a topic and moving on, but you're learning, practicing, and mastering each topic, which is so important for learning piano. While I'm on the topic, not only are you going to learn about piano, but you're going to learn about music theory, ear training, sight reading, and pretty much anything else you need to be a well-rounded musician. Use code YouTube for 15% off any order of courses or course packs. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not happy for whatever reason, or if it's just not for you, you can request a refund, and within 30 days I'll give you a 100% refund, simple as one email. So go to pianolessonsontheweb.com and check that out. I just wanted to throw that out there to let the audience here on YouTube know about that website. But here we are going to get on with today's lesson. You might not, no, sorry. You might know how to count simple rhythms, but do you struggle with difficult ones? Well, your piano teacher Tim here has you covered, because today I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to count difficult rhythms. Let's get to it. All right, everybody. Man, it's getting hot in here already. You know what I need to do? I need to blast the air conditioner before the thing starts. Anyway, here we go. Okay, the first thing you want to start with, obviously, to count difficult rhythms is learn how to count rhythms in general. And so what I'm talking about that is you need to know things about things like your time signature, those numbers in the beginning of the piece. You need to know, some basic things like the quarter note, which is that filled in head with the stem on it. That gets 1 beat. You got to know that, that gets 2 beats. The half note, that a dotted half note will get 3, and a quarter note will get 1. I already mentioned that. Eighth note. So all just the very basic rhythm stuff you're going to have to know first. All right, we're going to get on to some of the more juicy stuff, but this next tip. All right, let me check in just real quick, make sure. Man, the camera's updated. Okay. Oh, probably from the last time you were here. Yes, that is true. Everything is updated. The lessons and everything. All right. Let me get back here. All right, on with the lesson. Let me get this back up. Okay, here we go. And the reason you're going to want to learn all the basics on how to count rhythm is the next tip is that you actually want to start charting out the rhythm in the measures that you're working with. So let's just do a simple example together. Okay. Let me write out a simple, yet maybe slightly more complicated rhythm here. All right, 1 and 2 and 3 and come on, there you go, 40 and perfect. Okay, say we have this rhythm right here. Now, like I mentioned, you got to be, you have to know your time signature. So you got to know that, you have 4 beats in each measure, which is what that tells you, the top number there. So obviously you're going to start on beat 1 here. And you have to know that an eighth note gets half of a beat. So therefore, this is going to get and 2. I'm going to link you to a lesson I did just on this topic because this would be a lesson all on its own. But basically, you want to be charting out how many of the 4 beats that each of these get. And hold on, this would be 3E and then 4. Yeah, 4E and wait a second, that should be too many. Hold on. Wait, 1E and 2E. Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. I goofed. So when you're charting out rhythms, obviously you're going to have beat 1 here. And I am going to link you to a full lesson I did on this because this obviously would be a whole lesson in itself. But basically what you're going to do is chart out where each of the 4 beats is going to hit and where all the other notes hit as well. So the first one here is 1E. And then this is going to be and 2E. And if you're lost here, don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm going to link you to a lesson on how to do this, but this is where you want to head to. 2E and then what is this? 3E and oh, I need another one of these. Oops. Or I'm just going to chop this off. This will work better. Sorry, I didn't have enough beats in there. And then that would be and then 4E and just like that. Okay, now the third tip is once you chart out the whole rhythm like I've done, what you want to do is start planning your points of attack. This is where you'll actually be changing notes and moving on to the next note. You're attacking the next note. So our points of attack, obviously we have this eighth note on beat 1, so that's our point of attack right there. Our next point of attack is right on the and of 1. So basically when I'm counting out 1E and 2E, the and is when I'm going to be moving on to that second note. Okay, our next point of attack, as you can see, it's always like the first one in each of these groupings. So there's and then 3, there's an attack point there, attack point on E since you're hitting another note there. So it's always when you're hitting a new note, and then on 4 right there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the rhythm on the piano very slowly. I'm going to be counting out 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and since that's how you break each beat into each of its 4 parts. So here we go, and I'm going to hit them right on the attack point. So here we go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and By planning out the points of attack, it makes it so much easier to be able to do this sort of thing. Okay, there's one thing I want to explain that hopefully I remember when I edited this together to put this explanation pretty much before the explanation I just did, because there's one thing I want to break down for you that I kind of skipped. So hold on. All right. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about counting beats and subdivisions. So you need to know that a quarter note gets 1 beat, and if you have the 4/4 time signature, which we have, you can fit 4 of those in a measure. Now what I recommend you do is obviously write out where each of the beats hits. Pretty easy, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But I want you to start practicing what we call subdivision, which is where you're actually breaking up each beat into 4 different syllables or 4 different parts. You're still hitting only 1 note for each beat because you still have a quarter note, but you're actually counting out 1 E and 2 E and so each beat will be the same like that. And by doing that, the reason we do that is because once you start to get other types of notes like 8th notes and 16th notes, that's when you're going to have to start breaking up the beats into 4 different parts. So just learning how to do this right off the bat, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a, you're going to get a better idea when we move on to the next step. All right, there you go. I think that will clear it up as long as I edit it together, or my editor does it. I still have to hire them. All right. Yeah. Let's continue. Let me check in real quick. Let me make sure everything's still operational. Hey, Rich is here. What software do I use? I use StaffPad. All right, on with the lesson. Let me follow my notes here. All right. Okay, for this next tip, I need to bring something up. Should take just a couple of seconds. It's a good one. Here we go. Yeah. All right, this works well. There we go. All right. Sorry about the delay. Okay, so the 3 things we did. Yeah. So real quick recap, you want to learn your basics, you want to chart out your rhythms in your music, and you want to plan your attack points. Now let's actually put these concepts to work in a real piece, and we're going to build on another step when doing it. Okay, now we're ready for the example. Okay, so here we have an example. And when you're charting out these rhythms, obviously you're probably going to be charting out the most difficult rhythms. You might want to chart out also the easy rhythms as well, but for consistency's sake, but definitely do the more difficult ones. So say that I am struggling with this measure over here where it says stretto there. I'm actually going to ignore the stretto for now. We're just going to do very basic how the rhythm is going to get charted out. So let's chart out the rhythm together here. Okay, obviously beat 1 is going to hit with this first note here, so beat 1. I'm going to write it in between the left hand and the right hand because I can actually chart out both hands that way if it's in between. So here's 1, and then this is actually going to take up 1E. This is going to take up and, so that makes perfect sense since these two will hit together. You have this and right here by itself, and then you have the up here with the right hand by itself. And then beat 2 hits perfectly together right there. Same kind of thing, 2E and then I'm just going to write out the rest, so because I think you guys get the idea, and then we're going to build on that. Okay, I've charted out the very basics of my rhythm. So now what should I do? Well, I should plan my attack points, right, where each of the notes is hitting. So obviously the first attack point is on beat 1, since I have both the right hand and the left hand there. So now the next attack point is going to be with the left hand on and, then the right hand like I mentioned. Beat 2 is going to hit together, so that's another attack point. And then you're going to move on and again. You got beat 3. I know it's getting a little messy here. I would probably write this out in pencil, something a little bit thinner. 3E, I need and 4E. Yeah, I need one on 4E and All right, now I'm going to go through this real carefully. Like I said, I'd write it out a lot smoother if I was doing this. All right, here we go. I'm just going to hit it on, I can hit it with the notes. I recommend you hit it maybe just on one note in the beginning to get the rhythm, but I'm going to try it also with the correct pitches as well. So here we go. So 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and just like that. And if you notice, I went real slow, much slower than I would go in the piece. So what I recommend you do is for every difficult measure, do what I said, but you want to go over it again and again and again and again to where you barely have to think about it when you play it. Now, but that's not all. This is where we're going to build on it. Because if you do that, what's going to happen is that measure is going to be really good. However, when you actually go to put it in the context of the whole piece, it could very well fall apart because you're not used to playing coming in from the measure before the difficult measure and the measure after. So once you really get, let me make sure you can see everything here. So once you really get the problem areas down, you want to fit them in the context of the piece by playing the measure before it, that measure, and the measure after. And then you probably want to go through, start this whole section, or maybe even the whole piece again. See then if you can make that transition all the way through. All right. There's still a couple things more. Okay. Actually, you know what? That's kind of it. I kind of combined tips 4 and 5 by accident, but I think I got it in there. Okay. Let me check in, see how everybody's doing, because there'll probably be some questions or something going on. Why can't I find you guys? Here we go. All right. Staff Pad is not free to download, unfortunately. Hate to break the news to you. But it's cheap. Well, relatively cheap. It's like, I think it's $60, but you get it forever. It's not like a $60 once a year thing, I think. All right. Bonnie is trying to learn gospel music, and it is hard to count. I agree. So just go out, chart your rhythms. Be really careful with that. And how's Rich doing? Rich, it's been a while. Or although you popped in, I think, last class, and then you popped out because I had a question for you. How's everything going is the question I have for Rich, because it's been a while. We got Jeremy back here, too, of course. How's it going, Jeremy? I'm doing pretty well today. Nice day outside, although it's been like, and again, I really want to go outside, but it's either raining or it's really nice, or raining or really nice. So it's pretty crazy. Okay, Bold Caution says, I'm not clear on which syllables go with each note. So I have a lesson here that actually I did mention that I was going to put a link to anyway. So let me grab that for you. And it's fairly, I mean, it's a few months old. It's actually one of the best performing lessons. But anyway, way to count rhythms. Here you go. It's called The Best Way to Count Rhythms Accurately, and I go through in a lot more detail on how to do it. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want summer too, Jeremy. It is kind of summer most of the time, but it's really all over the place. So there you go. Check out The Best Way to Count Rhythms right there. And then maybe while some other, let's see, what's the difference between the 2 lines and the 1 line? Yeah, 2 lines are 16th notes. Those are twice as fast. 1 line is 8th notes. I do also explain it in that lesson I just posted, so keep a lookout for that. All right, a couple things I want to walk you guys through while we are here. Oh, I really need something for my cubby hole back there. I have an idea. All right. Enough getting distracted, which is my superpower. Okay. Over my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, I mentioned in the beginning there are courses over there, so make sure to check those out because if you're a big fan of the channel, you're going to love my courses. But what I really want to tell you about at this moment is go to the community tab at the top of the page. And if you're interested in attending on a regular basis, I recommend you fill out this form right here. You're going to get an email reminder 30 minutes before we meet. A bit more reliable than YouTube. I maybe only missed 1 or 2 of those, whereas YouTube misses them like half the time. But anyway, scrolling down, you're going to get the calendar of what we're talking about and when. I'm going to tell you right now that the Sunday, June 16th one, that's Father's Day, that lesson is canceled. I just want to spend some time with my dad that day, and while I probably could fit in both, I just don't want to rush around, I want to spend the time where it's the most important with my family, and then I'll regroup with you guys on the following Friday, which is tips for playing with a band in a group, something I haven't talked about at all, pretty much. So you can check out what we're talking about and when. July, we're probably going to take a little bit of time off, maybe a week or 2. I'll keep you filled in. All right, I wanted to mention that because that is pretty important stuff. Yeah, Jeremy says nighttime it gets cold. That's true. Very true. All right, everybody. Any comments or questions about what we talked about today? I know a little bit on the shorter side of the lesson, but it wasn't really anything too complicated, even though it is difficult rhythms. It's really all about charting it out, really putting your knowledge to work. I think the big disconnect a lot of people run into is that they will... they will learn each topic, but they won't really apply it to what they're actually playing. So they'll learn about rhythm, they'll learn about reading music, but when the rubber hits the road, I think they're just so focused on oh my goodness, what do I do, that they don't really think all right, let's take a few minutes here, really chart out what we're doing. Bold Caution says, thank you for the link to the rhythms. I really have no natural rhythm, so this is a challenge. So good topic today. Yeah, highly recommend you check out that first lesson I just posted with you, because that one is really your first rhythm lesson that you should get. This one's probably really the sequel to that. All right. Trying to think about anything I have to tell you. Not really. So I'm just going to kind of say hello to some people. Hey, Barbara's here. How you doing, Barbara? Glad to have you back with us. Jeremy says, take a break and bond with your dad. That's important. I agree. And Triplet Rhythms. Can you go over that? Yeah, I can go over that. Yeah, sure. Let me find how to do this. Or not how to do this, but write it down. Okay. Here we go. Let me explain a triplet for you. Now, I'm only going to do eighth note and quarter note triplets. Those are the ones I'm the best at explaining. And those are the ones, to be honest, you're going to be seeing 99% of the time. Okay. And let me do this. Let me draw some notes down here to show you how these line up. Okay, so here we have a triplet right here. Think of a triplet as kind of like how, you know, like an eighth note splits a quarter note into two halves. So that would be like two and. Well, a triplet is the same thing, except it splits a note into three even parts. So how in the world do you count this? Well, this is what I do. So, oops. So obviously you have beat 1 right here. And you can still do the 1E and if you want. So 1E and so that's all beat 1. 2E and that's all of beat 2. Now, the number of the beat that you're on plus tri and then plet. So if it was on beat 4, it would be 4 triplet. But since we're on 3, 3 triplet, and then 4, you can also count out the E and if you really want to. So here's the thing. This is where it gets a little tricky, because if you're going from breaking down beats into 4 parts to breaking into 3, you kind of have to make a little bit of an adjustment on the speed in which you're counting. So I'm just going to count out just the right hand here. 1E and 2E and 3 triplet, 4E and see how it was definitely a different kind of shift. So really, the main thing is that you're fitting in 3 even parts into each beat. It takes some progress, or it takes some getting used to. Like if they're all triplets, it's easy because all you do is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, because you're breaking them all into 3. They're all eighth notes, same thing, really easy. But if you're going from eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 triplet, 4 and just like that, there's a little shift in there, and that's where it's going to give you some trouble. But that's how you do it. The number that you're on of the beat plus triplet. Quarter note triplets, which are kind of a pain, but we're going to do them anyway. Actually, once you understand the eighth note, they're pretty easy. Okay. Then let me get a quarter note triplet up here. By the way, one thing I want to mention is that whatever note value is below the triplet, so see how you have quarter notes, the total number of beats that triplet's going to take up is twice whatever that note value is. So it's actually going to take up the value of a half note. So like with an eighth note triplet, wait, did I yeah, I redrew that whole thing. So with an eighth note triplet, because they're all eighth notes, wow, that's definitely what I wrote. Oh my goodness, guys. There we go. Let me get this in here and get rid of that. Boom. There you go. Okay, see how those are eighth note triplets? So here's an eighth note. So the total number of beats it's going to take up is a quarter note, because that's the next step up. That's twice what an eighth note is. So that's how that works. So it's always twice whatever the note value is. Okay, so this is going to take up 2 beats, this beat 3 here. So just charting out 1E and 2E and All right, here's where it gets crazy, and I'm still mastering this myself, to be honest with you. So now beats 3 and 4 are going to fall underneath this quarter note triplet here. So remember that before we were using the number of the beat we were on plus triplet. But now that we have 2 beats, what you're going to do is you're still going to say 3 triplet, 4 triplet. However, now each note is going to get 2 of the syllables. So 3 tri, and then this is going to get plet 4. It gets pretty weird. And then this is going to get triplet. So now they are twice as slow, but this is how you do it. So you're still saying 3 triplet, 4 triplet, but each note now gets 2 of those syllables. So this is how you would count it out from the beginning of the measure. 1E and 2E and 3 triplet, 4 triplet. There you go. Let me try again. 1 E and 2 E and 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So yeah, it seems really awkward to me, and that's something I just had to practice over and over to get the hang of. But that's how you do the quarter note triplets. You're going to see eighth note triplets all the time. Quarters less often. There are some other triplets out there, 16th note triplets, things like that. You don't really have to worry about those too much unless you're playing something really complicated. Okay. Can you go over doublets too? Well, those doublets or duplets are exactly basically taking the quarter note and then breaking it into two halves, two eighth notes, one and then breaking that down into 16th notes, 4 E, or 1 E and a. This is all described in that lesson I posted in the chat. It's called Best Way to Count Rhythms. That's also covered there in that lesson as well. Check out that lesson because I go over in a lot more detail than I can right now. Ancient Bot, hello. Hi, everybody. I'm late, says Springleaves. You are because it's summer. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually not summer, so you're right on time. I love triplets, says Rich. I believe you were like the first person to ever ask me about triplets. All right, Rich is doing well. You ready for your wedding, Rich? Can you go over doublets? Yeah, okay. So addressed that already. All right. Trying to think about what else. Any comments or questions about what we talked about today? Let me get a drink here. Oh, yeah. Hold on. If you like today's lesson, try that again. If you found today's lesson helpful, make sure you smash that like button because it lets other people know that this is a quality lesson that they can learn from as well. Back to the lesson. Yes, wedding next month. Well, congratulations and good luck to you. I'm sure it's like Christmas times 10 in that I always laugh at like getting ready for Christmas or anything, or watching other people get ready for weddings because you spend like literally, well, weddings like I said, Christmas times 10 because you spend like at least a year like planning all this stuff out, and it's over like in 4 hours. I just think that's so funny that like it's probably just such like like an anxiety, but like such the thing you look forward to, and then like probably that day, like once you kiss the bride, you're probably like, wow, it's over. Like, I can't believe it. Hopefully, I can convince my wife to adopt a cat. Yes. Well, good luck with that. That could be your first challenge on getting a cat, but Wildy Will is getting married next month as well. Congratulations, Filthy Will. Yeah, congratulations. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool, guys. I'm really happy to hear that for you guys. Maybe I'll get married someday and have a wife. And then she can tell me probably how to organize my shelf. Actually, that might help. How to organize my shelf better. All right, everybody. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Any questions you had about today's lesson? If not, we probably will end a little bit early. We are definitely having off on Sunday. Keep that in mind. But we will be meeting next week as well. And if anybody who wasn't here on the last lesson, I am in the process of hiring an editor. I have a video editor. So I should be able to pump out content more reliably. Because I like editing videos, I just don't like editing videos every week, especially multiple videos. If I only did one video like I used to do, piece of cake. But nowadays, especially since I like to do a better job editing, it takes me quite a bit longer. So it's the point now where I need some help, and I can afford it. So that's what we're going to do. So you're probably going to see some slight changes in the lesson format over the next few weeks, because they're going to have a slightly different style than me, I'm sure, because everybody has their own kind of style. Rich S., did you see the Final Fantasy VII remake? Yes. I'm not that excited for it, only because it's like way different. Like they made it like the newer ones, like the combat system where you're all just like kind of like running, or at least from what I saw. Like I don't think it's turn-based, right? Like it's like the like kind of like the online battle system where it's more freeform. I don't like that. Like Final Fantasy 12, I didn't like that at all. And then you said, am I excited for any new games? You know what? I am, because Nintendo has been killing it the last couple of years with the Switch. And like I have a Switch and there's just too many good games for it. I just started the South Park game that came out like 2 years ago, the first one, and then there's a sequel to it. And I think they're actually making another one. But I just haven't really had a lot of time to play it, which is a shame because I like comedy, I like South Park, and I like video games. But there's a lot of stuff coming out, though, that I'm just too excited for. Oh, Mario Maker. I'm going to get Mario Maker when it comes out. Probably like 2 weeks, I think it comes out. And I like games like that because you can put a little work into them. Like you can play them for a little bit and then put them away and then bring them back and still not be completely lost. Like games like Skyrim. Well, no, Skyrim actually wasn't bad because it told you what was going on. But big RPGs, like even Final Fantasy, like if you get halfway through Final Fantasy 9 and then you take a 3-month break from that game because you just get busy, you're going to be like completely lost when you come back. At least that's the way I always felt. I don't like that, even though I do like RPGs. Every lesson is amazing, Tim. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Spring Leaves. Thanks for coming today. Billy Will says, yeah, it looks cool, but yeah, completely different game than the original. Yeah, it could be really good. Again, I don't know if I have time to play through all of it. But what kind of things are you guys excited for? Okay, so Jeremy's a Sonic and Mario. So you're like classic and retro Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man, I hope, which is the superior version, in my opinion. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake could be cool. I agree. It could be really good. I was skeptical of the Resident Evil 2 remake, but it was good. Yeah, I heard really good things about it. I've never been a really big Resident Evil fan. I appreciate it. I just never really got an opportunity to play it. It was also one of those old, like, one of those first 3D PlayStation games where the controls are so bad. Like, I can deal with the graphics being really bad, but the controls on some of those old games are so bad. It's like you're driving a tank, and it's just a person walking around, but you're doing like this weird thing. I'm excited for The Last of Us 2. You know what? I kind of am. I never finished The Last of Us 1, even though it was fantastic. I've said the worst problem ever with games. Like, I'll play a game that I love, and I'm like, man, this game's great. And I get like 3/4 of the way through it, and then I don't finish it. Like, I have to just start finishing my games. Because what happens is a new game comes out that I want, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just buy it, and I'll just try it out and see what it's about. But then I get like 30 hours into that game, so I have gaming ADD. Yes, Miss Pac-Man is great. Big Super Mario 3, classic for sure. You'd probably like Super Mario Maker then, since that uses a lot of the stuff from the old games as well. Tim, do you play any Final Fantasy original soundtrack stuff on piano? I'd love to learn a lot of these scores. I have in the past, and Rich has too. I've still been learning some of that Undertale soundtrack. That's probably what I've been practicing recently. I've been playing something else recently. What is it? I'm blanking on it. It's something gaming related, though. I like learning pieces from like Sonic 2. I love that soundtrack. Old Mega Man. Mega Man has a banging soundtrack. Really good. Rich can play Sandy Badlands. That is true. And Kuja's theme from Final Fantasy IX. Did I ever tell you that I played Final Fantasy IX? I think I did tell you before, but I played Final Fantasy IX so much one year that I like failed my recital because of it. I was supposed to, because at the end of the year, my piano teacher would make us all do a recital together, and it came to the end of the year, and like I didn't have my piece memorized. I didn't have like anything, like I didn't practice, and I just totally bombed that recital. And that game is, well, I was the reason why, but the game was what I was doing at the time. And it's funny that that sticks out to me, that I still not only remember messing up at the recital, which is reasonable, but I like remember why. So it just teaches you something about that. Always be prepared. Don't play too many video games. Jeremy likes South Park as well. Yeah, I was a big South Park fan for a long time. I don't keep up with the new stuff that comes out, which I find is hit or miss. Some of the newer South Parks are really funny. Some of them, not so much. But that's with any show that goes on for decades, you know. Like Simpsons. Simpsons should have been dead 15, 20 years ago. I'm just going to come out and say that. I don't understand why Simpsons is still around at all, because it used to be really, really, really funny, and I still watch some of the old ones every once in a while. Still funny, still really clever, but the new ones, it's all like politics and stuff, and it's like, ugh, I don't know. Like, I just want people to stop talking about Donald Trump. I'm not going to mention what I think about him, but that's all. That's all my only statement I'm going to make. I just kind of like want to talk about something different. Somebody else, you know. Philly Will says there's a guy on YouTube named Gab. He has an incredible Mega Man. Ooh, and game covers. I may have heard of him before. Includes his arrangement with fingering and everything. That's cool. I'll have to check that out. Gab, huh? That sounds familiar. I've been playing only about 7 weeks now, but hoping to pick them up eventually. Yeah, keep at it. Or does I can only play Kuja's theme slowly. My fingers can't move fast enough for that song. It's okay, Tim. Final Fantasy IX was worth it. Yes. You know, I find that one's... actually, you know which one is really, I feel, underrated is Final Fantasy VIII, which I think they're doing a remaster on the Switch. So maybe I'd play that one, because I've played 7, like, so many times. I don't know. 8 I only played through once, but I remember enjoying it a lot. And I remember everybody hated it. Like, everybody hated it at the time. And then 9, the only thing I didn't like about 9, maybe I didn't know how the battle system worked well enough, but I felt that the regular enemies were stronger or more difficult than the bosses. It was really weird, because I would struggle throughout like a whole dungeon, be really mad that like I'm just getting my ass kicked. But then the boss, where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to grind for 100 years. I'll beat the boss like first try. So I don't know if anybody else experienced that with Final Fantasy IX. I did. Rich hates Final Fantasy VIII. I'll give you that it's slow. Final Fantasy VIII. They're all slow. Like, they all start slow. Rich just didn't understand the magic system in the stupid card games. You know what's funny is I didn't either at the time, and apparently if you understand how like the junction system works, it makes the game way easier, and I didn't know that at the time. So I struggled beating it, but I enjoyed it. I like the story. Yeah, Rich, me too. At the time I was not smart enough to understand the junction system. Sorry for anybody who's here for piano lessons, but I like to just have fun every once in a while, and the main part of the lesson is over, so just let me have some fun. Let's see here. Yeah, Final Fantasy X is another one I feel is a little underrated. Good soundtrack, good everything. I really felt like 10, they got it right. Like they really, through the iterations of the PlayStation ones, they kind of learned a lot. And 10, I feel like, even though I didn't like the characters too much, I felt like the whole series by that point was refined like to the point. And then I feel like after that, because after that was Final Fantasy 11, an online game, Final Fantasy 12, which was completely different. I felt like once they hit like the pinnacle, which was 10, they were like, all right, well, we have to start changing it. And then they started changing it. And, you know, whatever. Not my thing. Jeremy says, I don't understand Fortnite crazy, the Fortnite craze. I don't either. There's no game superior to Final Fantasy VII. Yes, I said it. I think Persona 5 is better. I just love Persona so much. Even though it's like the dumbest thing. Like, it's a game where half the game is like a friend/dating simulator, but not really. It's weird. Like, half the game you're hanging out in school and taking quizzes and stuff. And I hated high school so much. It's so funny, though. And then the other half of the game, you're like in this place fighting monsters. So, all right. Bonnie says, I would like to learn how to accompany our guitar player at church with chords. Well, I'll try to. The next lesson we're going to do is how to play with a band. And I'll try to incorporate some tips in that will also help you play in church. Philly Will says, to Xanarkand tutorial, I won't be mad. Yeah, I don't know. My channel doesn't do too well with like covers and stuff like that, but excuse me. But honestly, I haven't given them enough of a chance. All right, guys, I think I'm going to let you go. It was a nice video game discussion / piano lesson here. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you before we go. It was nice chatting with Rich again. Glad to have you with us here, Rich, even though I know you're probably super busy these days, as you will be probably for the next month and a half or so. But all right, guys, it was great chatting with you. Let me do an outro so when I piece the lesson together, it makes some kind of sense, and then we'll go from there. All right. I have a ton of other lessons on the channel about how to count rhythms. If you're new to counting rhythms, you need to check this one out, and then check out some of these if you need more practice. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. Thanks so much for coming by. Make sure you subscribe, have all notifications turned on, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Philly Will says, now you got better things to teach. Just kidding. That's true. I don't want to turn it. I like incorporating video games into the channel a little bit, but on the other hand, I would want it to turn into all that. You know what I mean? Jeremy says, take care of Tim and everybody have a great weekend, Father's Day, and all the fathers out there, including your dad, Tim. Well, thank you so much. We all have a dad or have had one at some point if we are alive on this earth. So, yeah, everybody have a great Father's Day. All right, I'm rocking back and forth like a lunatic. All right, everybody, thank you for coming by. I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you so much.